Hello, my name is Livia Hoyos, and today I will be giving you a speech on Ludwig van Beethoven and why I think that he is someone to truly be admired. Ludwig van Beethoven was born December 17th, 1770, or, well, baptized at that time because there was no actual papers on when he was born. He had a large family. His father was also a musician. He sang for a court, and he had a very well-renowned family. His grandfather was one of the most influential and, if not grand, of the musicians in the town that he used to live in, which was Bonn. Beethoven had been brought up by both of his parents, and he had a total of 7 siblings, him and 3 others surviving. He was the oldest out of all of them. His father had a big dream about him. He expected him to be a prodigy. He wanted him to be on the level of Mozart, which of course we know now that he did reach. He had always been, for the majority of his early life, his father trained him and taught him and gave him lessons every single day, hours and hours of the day. He gave up to learn how to play instruments, how to read music, how to really get that talent out of him. He wanted him to be a prodigy. He's described as being someone who was excessive and compulsive. He had anger issues. He had a very bad personality, which I believe personally came from just the fact that his father really pushed him so hard to become a prodigy, which he became. At the age of 7, he started playing he became the appointed organist of Maximilian Franz's court. And he basically, as he became older, he became his father. His father was an alcoholic. He abused him. He was hit constantly due to not only his music lessons, but in general life. Whenever he would misbehave, his father would abuse him. And so eventually his father, due to his addiction, became crippled and wouldn't even show up to work. So Beethoven took it upon himself to take care of his family. He took on his job at the court and became their organist. He was an average student. He'd always been an average student. He even had mild dyslexia, but he truly had a talent with music. He had such a creative mind and looked at things in such a different perspective and combined such different types of music. Here we have, for example, I have pieces of music, which if you are someone who knows music, you know that notes are they are a different language, and learning how to play them is just another one of the challenges of really being a good player. One of the most amazing things, in my opinion, about Ludwig van Beethoven is the fact that during the middle of his life, he began to lose his hearing, which, as you can tell, is such a terrible thing for such a great composer. And so, in fact, that moment they called the middle era, or the heroic era for him, the heroic age, because at this point, he really, there was something inside him that made him want to write more music. It was at this moment that he wrote music such as the song that I wrote for you, that I had you listen to at the beginning, called Moonlight Sonata. And they were such beautiful pieces. Some of his most memorable pieces were made during this era. And can you imagine being deaf and having to compose music? The amount of determination and frustration that he had to go through. But he did it because that was what his love was like for music. Music was his whole world. The piano, the violin, the organ. He was completely proficient in all of these. Not to mention how young he was when he started doing these things. He died at the age of, I believe, he died in his 50s, mid-50s, and he had accomplished so much. He wrote operas, he wrote over 100 pieces of music, he composed them. And he was just such an amazing composer. In conclusion, I just want to say that as a fellow musician myself, I've always very much looked up to him and seen him as such an inspiration. Someone who came from such poor beginnings and furthered his life and accomplished so many things, and even took on the role of his own father to take care of his family, and still then he kept trying to be better at his music. He kept trying, and he composed songs that we know about today. I mean, I know everyone knows Ode to Joy, and even Moonlight Sonata. They're such beautiful pieces. And that is my speech on Ludwig van Beethoven. Thank you.